Everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee for Monday. Oh, I'm sorry. We on?
Yes, we are.
Monday, January 25th, 2016. I'm Paul Krikorian, Chair of the committee. I'm joined by my colleagues, Mr. Bonin and Mr. Koretz, and we are ready to begin today's agenda. I think what we'll do, members, if there's no objection, take 5 first, Matt, or the consent items?
Consent items.
Yeah, so I would propose, members, items 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9 as potential approval on consent. I do have cards on some of those matters, but if there's no objection from the committee, we'll go ahead and have Mr. Spindler come on up. Now, Mr. Spindler, you're going to have 5 minutes on all of your items. So your items are numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So you have 5 minutes to speak on any of those matters, and that'll be your time. So go right ahead.
Yes, on item number 1, we have our good friends at the LA Police Department doing what they usually do, cost the city millions and millions and millions of dollars in damages. Why? Because the LAPD cannot control itself. They cannot control themselves. See, that's the difference. Downstairs, they're having meetings about arresting homeless, and they don't train their officers, for example, to not beat the person first, but first ask what's going on. So, Mr. Mark Garza, yes, you should get as much as you can out of these bastards, because I'm sure whatever they did to you, it's a bad situation, and good luck to you, sir. And item 2, we have our good friends at Time Warner Cable. Yes. Now we're going to have contention that the city, so now we're switching gears. Now Time Warner's suing the city to get money back from them. Yes, that's the dream of all companies, is when a company can get money back from the private sector, from this disgusting city, back into their pockets. I support Time Warner at item 2. I urge Time Warner to get that money and for the city to add 10% interest on the money for making them wait, plus attorney's fees, punitive damages, and a written apology on the council floor tomorrow. Now we have the Townhouse Retail Center, and let's see what happened here. Well, we're going to settle that case in closed session. Oh, I like this word. The matter arises out of a payoff. Well, finally, now the agendas are starting to get honest. Now that the grand jury's got the case, now we're trying to call things what they are. Item 3 involves a payoff. That's good. We're starting to come out of our closets now and admitting what we are at City Hall, a city of payoffs. So item number 3, unfortunately, will be behind closed doors, but you're going to finally pay off somebody. So congratulations to Townhouse Retail Center for getting that on the agenda. Now we have the status of liability accounts. Well, the city attorney has got some bad news for you. Bad news for you, because over at the county board meeting last week, they talked about the tens of millions of dollars that's being caused by their sheriff's department and their out-of-control assholes. Like you out-of-control assholes and you're out-of-control LAPD. If you'd spend your time supervising your Los Angeles Police Department, then you wouldn't have so much of this. But it goes into more things as we see as the agenda unfolds. Skipping to item 7, Chevron USA wants $840,000 of the money you stole from them. Because you stole $840,000. Not a refund. You stole the money. Let's repeat, everybody. LA City stole from Chevron $840,000. That's a crime. That's theft. That's not a refund. So they should get it in treble amount, because a fraud is refundable in a civil action for treble the amount of damages. So they should get $2.4 million. So hopefully Chevron will get treble the damages. Then we have item 8, VK storytelling. Yes, they have a story to tell. They were screwed out of $97,668 from a little company, VK Storytelling, just trying to tell stories to kids. And they had to lose $100,000, but today they're going to get back that money, and God bless them. And then we have Valero Marketing and Supply Company, also burned at the stake for $57,473. Now, what they had to do to get here, we don't know. How much did they spend in attorney's fees? How much did they spend in accounting fees? How many hours did they lose where they could have created jobs instead of asking you people to give them back $60,000? Why is it even here? Why don't we have a problem resolution division of the city attorney's office that can handle these things in 15 days, 15 calendar days? But no, you have to do it through this long process. So good, and congratulations, and God bless these people that get their money back from this city and vote no on Mitchell Englander for the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spindler. As always, insightful and helpful comments. Members, items 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9, if there's no objection, will be deemed approved on, actually, 6, 7, 8, 9 will be approved on consent. Item number 4 will be noted and filed. If you're here on those matters, thank you very much for coming down. We'll proceed to closed session after we hear item number 5. Are there any general public comment cards?
No, sir, only from Mr. Spindler.
Oh, okay. All right. So we'll come back to general public comment as well. Public comment on items later, Mr. Spindler. Items 1, 2, and 3, public comment is closed. Mr. Spindler, I'm going to give you one warning right now. You're going to be quiet for the rest of the meeting. And that brings us then to item number 5.
Item number 5 is a motion for Corian Martinez et al. Relative to an instruction to the Chief Legislative Analyst and the City Administrative Officer to report regarding A, the average time a city employee takes off during pregnancy and for bonding purposes, and B, the costs and consequences of parents leaving the city's workforce after having a child, with said report to include the feasibility and budgetary impacts of offering city employees 4 weeks paid parental leave for bonding purposes. The Personnel and Animal Welfare Committee waived consideration of this matter.
Thank you very much. Members, Ms. Martinez and I brought this motion to begin a dialogue about beginning to provide what most of the industrialized world already provides to its employees, paid parental leave. Time and again, we've seen families of city employees have to go through this process of using up all of their sick time, using up all of their vacation time in order to have a bonding opportunity with new additions to their families. Ms. Martinez and I think, and I hope that all of our colleagues will agree, that it's time that the United States as a whole, and certainly this city, should catch up with the rest of the world. When you look at most of the industrialized nations of the world, our competitors in Europe all provide at least 3 months of paid parental leave to their employees. France, Germany, Spain, the UK. But it's not just Europe. It's other places in the world as well. Mexico, Russia, China, all mandate that private employers provide a significant amount of paid parental leave. Yet here in the United States, we are in the company of countries like Lesotho and Swaziland in not requiring any paid parental leave at all. We are the exception, not the rule, throughout the world. And as we're moving forward now, thankfully, finally to a time where the city is preparing to hire employees back. We've committed with our labor partners to bringing back 5,000 new hires into this city to begin restoring services as we've emerged from the economic recession. It's important that this city be competitive with the private marketplace for employees as well as with other public sector employers. And we see throughout the private sector companies that have seen the value to the employer of providing paid parental leave. Even Walmart provides 90 days of paid leave, at least for its salaried employees. But Target, Ernst & Young, Bank of America, almost every tech company provides some measure of paid parental leave, and these are the companies that we're competing against for the best and the brightest potential employees that we want to bring into city employment. Other cities, Seattle, San Francisco, Chicago, and many others have already gone down the path of providing paid leave for their employees. I think that it's time that we begin that discussion here as well. And so this motion calls for a report back from the CLA and the CAO on the feasibility and budgetary impact of offering 4 weeks of paid parental leave for bonding purposes and otherwise for our city employees. It also asks for a report on the current average time that city employees take off during pregnancy and for bonding, and what the costs and consequences are of parents leaving the city's workforce after having a child because we don't offer these sorts of benefits now. So this is the beginning of what will be a long discussion and policy development process, but I think it's important that we move forward with getting these reports back so we can begin to shape a policy that serves the interests of our employees, serves the interests of the children of those employees who will be the Angelinos of the future, and also serves the interests of the taxpayers of this city and the management of this city as an employer as well. So with that, I'd like to begin unless other members would like to speak initially before we take cards. Mr. Bonnet.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Krikorian, for recognizing me, but for this motion, you and Ms. Martinez. I think this is a great idea. I think you set it up and argued it well. I just had a clarifying question on the direction to staff. I know under the federal Family and Medical Leave Act, it covers unpaid leave for a birth, adoption, or arrival of a foster child. And I just want to make sure when we're giving the direction to staff to look at this, that they're also including adoption and foster parenting as well.
Point well taken. Yes, absolutely. That's within the spirit of the request.
Thank you.
Mr. Kretz?
I've got nothing to ask other than to say that I was happy to second this motion. I think this absolutely should be explored, and I want to also thank you and Ms. Martinez for bringing this forward.
Thank you, and thank you very much as chair of our PAW committee for waving the matter out and for seconding the motion and allowing this to move forward. So we have a number of cards on this matter, and we will start first with Alice Goff, followed by Carmen Hayes Walker. Ms. Goff, welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm Alice Goff. I'm the president of AFSCME, Local 3090. Our local represents predominantly female employees, and so this issue has always been one of our priorities, so much so that many years ago, and I didn't take the time to look at our exact contract, we were able to negotiate with the city to get family medical leave before it was federal law. After our contract cycle, then everyone else in the city was able to gain that benefit. And, you know, at that time, the CAO said to us, as we were signing our contract, he looked right at us, a team of women, and said, oh, now they're all going to go out and get pregnant. We sat there and took that. Well, that didn't happen. But what it did was to give our members a level of comfort to know that they were able to take leave and not have to face discipline at work. Even today, we have a struggle with the departments using the family illness leave time that we get in our contract in a negative manner. It is used, it's counted towards the use of sick time, the amount of sick time, and then used for disciplinary purpose. And so I applaud, this study coming forward, and it is our hope that we go into a study with an open mind and really analyze the benefits, not just to the employees, but that the city would see from being able to retain employees and have employees come to work with a level of comfort that they are able to take off to care for their children as well as their family members and preserve their job. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah,
Could I ask
Mr. Kretz.
a question?
Ms. Goff, I think Mr. Kretz had a brief comment.
So
Like 2 minutes.
I'm surprised to hear that we engage in anything negative towards this process. So I wonder if you could describe a little more when you said it can be used in a disciplinary manner, how that happens currently.
Well, if you're on family leave specifically, then that's set aside. But if you, in our contract, for instance, we get family illness time. And first of all, you have to have 100% sick time in your bank to be able to use family illness. And obviously that's to care for your child or sick family member. But it's counted in what the number of days that departments use to say that you have exceeded the time off that you can have within, and they all differ a little bit. But there's a broad general city policy, but then there are department issues. Some, like in the Police Department Communications Division, for instance, they count it in 6-month increments that you can only use, I think it is like 4 family illness days within that time. I'm not, up on the numbers at the moment. However, it's been an ongoing battle, and we've challenged it. It's now the department is actually waiting for an interpretation, a ruling from the city attorney's office, because we quoted the labor code section that says, in fact, that if an employer provides that kind of time to an employee, they can't then turn around and use it to discipline, but they have been. So we're struggling with that right now.
I'm not happy to hear that that's the case, and maybe we need to do something to be helpful in that regard as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Carmen Hayes Walker, followed by Diana Williams. Good afternoon.
Okay. My name is Carmen Hayes Walker, I'm Vice President of Local 3090, City of Los Angeles Clerical and Support Workers. I'm a senior clerk typist, newly named Senior Administrative Clerks, with 34 years of service, currently assigned to the Department of Building and Safety. I'm in support of all the policies like this one that will make the working lives of all workers better. A little story. Early in my career, after the City of Los Angeles and Local 3090 settled the groundbreaking family leave provision for our members, the City of Los Angeles applied the provision wrong. And I know this because I was one of the employees that was off for maternity leave. Then, that was my second child, the City of Los Angeles applied the leave at 50% of your leave cost. And so at the detriment of my family's livelihood, I was making half the amount of money that I was making while I was working. And so I had to come back to work sooner than expected. In between that, then we settled the new contract through the collective bargaining process, and we fixed that provision. But it was 2.5 years later, and of course I hadn't built up very much time in between. And so then with my second child, I was not able to be off very long to care for her and my new toddler at the time. So I'm hoping that you all support this measure and this policy so that all City of Los Angeles employees will have protections under this provision.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Diana Williams, followed by Gabriela Landeros. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Diana Williams, Executive Board Officer of AFSCME District Council 36, and a partner in the Coalition of LA City Unions. City workers in both organizations strongly support this motion before us today on a paid parental leave policy that would make us a model for other employers in the public and private sector. We urge you all to ensure its adoption in the City of Los Angeles. From New York City to Boston to Atlanta and many other states, local public employers are increasingly adopting enlightened, family-friendly policies to give working would-be moms and dads the ability to have or adopt kids without compromising their careers or their desire to have families or their desire to care for aging and ill parents of their own. This is definitely a hot-button issue. Numerous public employers have adopted new policies in 2015 for implementation in 2016. According to the Institute for Women's Policy Research, only 12% of workers in the United States have access to paid leave for any care of family members, newborns, adopted children, or ill children or adults. Lower paid workers are least likely to have access to paid leave. The time is now for the City of LA to adopt family-friendly policies that set an example for all public employers and the private sector. Considering some of the sampling of other cities, New York offers a 6-week paid parental leave. Atlanta, Georgia offers 6 weeks of paid time for primary caregiver and 2 weeks of paid time, which run concurrently with FMLA policy for non-primary caregiver. So I urge for you to continue on with this and promote this new motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Gabriela Landeros, followed by Simboa Wright. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabrielle Landeros, and I'm the press secretary for the Los Angeles County Federation of Labor. Today, I'm here to provide a brief statement on behalf of the Federation's Executive Secretary-Treasurer, Rusty Hicks. Mr. Chair and members of the committee, as an organization that represents over 800,000 hardworking Angelenos, including many of our affiliates who work at the city level, it is imperative that Los Angeles remain at the cutting edge of attracting the most skilled employees. Within the next few years, while a large sector of our city's aging workforce will retire, a new generation of talent will be competing for good city jobs. Many of these workers, the millennial generation, will either be new parents or those planning a family. Making a decent salary will no longer be enough. The city will have to offer a competitive benefits package that draws rather than steer away potential employees. Today, you have a chance to do just that. You can lead our city on a path that will put us ahead of Google, Netflix, or any other private sector industry that offers paid parental leave. By offering this benefit, the city will be drawing a new pool of talent that will only make our labor force stronger and more effective. Several cities, such as San Francisco, Austin, Seattle, and Chicago, have already implemented paid parental leave. And as the second largest city in the country, we don't have any excuse to lag behind. Extending parental leave to our city workers makes economic, operational, and moral sense. We hope this will also encourage the city to increase access to paid sick days for thousands of hardworking Angelenos. The Federation and its member unions have worked with both governmental and private employers to better the lives of all working people. Therefore, we urge the City of Los Angeles to be a city that inspires and empowers by offering 4 weeks of paid parental leave and be a champion of young working families and good jobs they can rely on. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Simboa Wright, followed by Henry Gamble. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Simboya Wright, and I am an executive board member of SEIU Local 721. And, of course, I'm a city employee. I've spoken in front of you guys several times, but this is something that's near and dear. We, as city employees, spend most of our time, as you guys do, here at the city, working to provide a service. So, although it's fun spending time with our city family, it's really important spending time with, our immediate family. I have 3 kids, and I can give you a small example of why I support this. I had a promotional probation, and I had my youngest son. My wife had him, and I had to leave but then I had to quickly return to work because I was on probation. Really didn't have that much time to spend with my wife as she had my son. So, I mean, that right there is just a small example. But I'm not only here to represent me as a wastewater worker. We have, I don't know if you guys know, we have 3 women that are wastewater workers that provide the same services that I do. And I'm here on their behalf also. You know, of course, it's more of a male job at this time, but women do just as well as we do. And so I wanted to speak on their behalf, and I wanted to also thank you guys for supporting this, and just please push it through. That's all I ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Henry Gamble, followed by Roy Stone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Henry Gamble, Senior Librarian, Brentwood Branch. I have a 3-year-old. I took off when he was born 3 years ago. I took off 3 weeks with my sick time. I was lucky I had an abundant sick time. You know, it purely is luck, and it was a great investment. When I read the resolution at first, a lot of the language was talking about recruiting and how it'd be a great recruitment tool for females to come into the workforce. And I agree with that, and I'm solidly behind that, and I applaud the council members that have the foresight and wisdom to bring this up. I just want to add a little important part too. It is a great recruiting tool, but we have to look at it how it's just an absolutely fantastic down payment that'll pay off dividends for the future success of our children. The reason why all these other countries do it is because there's science behind this. And the science says is that for a kid to grow up to be emotionally stable, best emotionally stable, to have the ability to experience love, and most importantly, empathy, is they have to bond with a primary caretaker. And it's usually the mother. It can be the father, but that's crucial. And they have to do it within the first 2 years. You know how it's sad to say that some states plan prisons by 3rd grade reading levels? You can almost plan the future success of a kid, whether they have bonded with that primary caretaker or not. So how do we do that? We give them time for that to develop. And sometimes the mother's had a cesarean section, and that's major abdominal surgery, and so she's bedridden, and so the baby's with her. There's a lot of touch involved. There's talking to it. So this will kind of promote people to be able to do this, even if they weren't thinking of doing it, that it's a good thing for them to do. Okay, and I applaud this measure. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Roy Stone, followed by Patrick Xavier.
Good afternoon. I'm Roy Stone, President of the Librarians Guild, and I just want to tell you how wholeheartedly we support this initial first step. Hopefully we'll be moving forward, coming to support further motions about this. We think it's extremely important. It benefits our city, it benefits our efficiency on the job, and it benefits those children, as Henry just said. So we thank you for this.
Great. Thank you very much. And our final speaker on this item is Patrick Xavier. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm a senior librarian at the Pio Pico Koreatown Branch Library. 2 years ago, my daughter was born, and at that time, I was a children's librarian. My wife had just been hired by the Los Angeles Public Library as a children's librarian. She, as a new hire, wasn't given any time off, so she took 2 weeks disability leave, and then she went back to work after having our child. I, being a 10-year employee at that time, I had plenty of time saved up. I spent 2 months at home with our newborn, and as a new parent, it's a joy, but some of you might be parents, and you can attest to the extreme difficulty and the challenges of raising a new human being. It's a growth experience for me. So I think it's a wonderful first step in supporting families and supporting the advancement of our humanity as a city. It's a great thing. Those 2 months I spent, they weren't available to my wife. after about 10 months, because I had to go back to work, at that time I was taking intermittent days off to be with my child, but we had to put our child in daycare, and she immediately started getting colds and while developing her immune system. So I did need a lot of time to take her out of daycare and spend the day with her, nurturing her and healing her. And the bonding doesn't just take those 4 weeks. It takes years. And now, so thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. And members, I think Mr. Xavier's example is a good one. Imagine if both parents had been recent hires of the city, and neither of them would have had any accrued sick time or vacation time. It puts a tremendous financial burden on a young family at the very time when they should most have the support of their employers. So I think that's a perfect example of why this is an important step forward. Any other comments or questions, members? Okay. If there's no objection, then the motion will be approved and advanced to council. That'll be the action of the committee. Thank you all very much for coming down for this. And much as I hate to do it, we have to go to closed session next. So thank you all for coming down. From Wayne Spindler. Mr. Spindler, 1 minute, please.
Yes. So good. I hope today many people got their money back from you. And I noticed you've got a new problem now. You're going to have to hire outside counsel to deal with campaign financing laws. So you're going to need an outside attorney. So I think anybody out there, if you specialize in municipal code financing, Paul Koretz and Paul Krikorian need your help because they have to deal with some questions. And finally, if anybody knocks on your door and hands you a $10 bill and asks you, would you donate to this campaign? Please, like Nancy Reagan said, just say no. It's not worth the $10, people. Si una persona entra su puerta con un dinero, diga no. No quiero problema con la ley.